Ever wondered how or why you have a different sense of time than your wife? Ever thought about what type of afterlife you might experience after you die? What about the true meaning of consciousness? How does quantum theory fit into all this? Well, on today's Community Perspective, we talk with local author Cody Kiser, who has dedicated years of his life pondering these things and studying at many levels. He wrote a book entitled Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality, which he calls QOIR Theory. Today, he talks about the book and the theories it presents and how reading it may give you a better understanding of some pretty complicated processes. Good morning and welcome to Community Perspective. This morning we're talking to local author Cody Kiser, who has written a book, Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality, or QOIR, as he likes to say. Cody, let's start with giving a short introduction of yourself, just where you're from, education, things like that.
Absolutely. My name is Cody Kiser. I'm local, born and bred here in Ottawa. I have a diverse educational background, including an associate's in AI fundamentals from the University of Pennsylvania and a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism from Michigan State University. I've also studied autism spectrum disorder at the University of California, Davis, and positive psychology under Dr. Fredrickson at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I do have a unique blend of interest, which does make me passionate about science and education.
All right, Ottawa High School grad?
Yeah, Ottawa High School in Neosho County.
Neosho County, okay. What year did you graduate from OHS? Just curious.
2001.
So we have a local grad here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. I want to talk about, you started talking about some of your educational experiences, which are very varied, which is fascinating to me. It's kind of cool, some of the places that you have education. Let's talk about the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I've got a friend who goes there, so I was just kind of interested in that.
My time studying positive psychology at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, it was very transformative. While under the guidance of Dr. Fredrickson Keenan, who's a distinguished professor of psychology, I gained a deep understanding of positive emotions and their impact on the human well-being. The experience not only enriched my knowledge of psychology, but also inspired me to think about the broader implications of human consciousness and perception. These are key themes in the book.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's kind of where I was going to go with my next question. Where do you get the idea of writing the book? You just started to explain it. Did any of your other studies get you pointed that way?
Yeah, it started a lot here in Ottawa, Kansas, taking psychology classes at Neosho County and theology classes. So the idea for writing the book came from a long-standing fascination with the mystery of consciousness and how we each think differently. My background in these various fields, from theology to studies of end-of-life care while taking care of my great-grandparents, and my experience as a crisis care counselor allowed me to see the profound connections between individual experiences and the broader scientific theories. This inspired me to explore and articulate these ideas in my book.
So we have a broad expansion of educational experiences, which is always good. The book is titled, once again, Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality, known as QOIR.
Mm-hmm. QOIR Theory.
QOIR Theory.
Or QOIR Theory.
QOIR Theory. What inspired the title?
Well, it was inspired by the core concepts of the book itself. It refers to the fundamental principles of quantum mechanics. That's just the study of the very small, and that's quantum. Observational highlights the critical role of observation shaping reality. This is a well-documented concept in quantum physics. And individual reality points to the unique and subjective nature of each person's experience. The world, together, these elements encapsulate the book's central thesis that our personal realities profoundly influence our experiences, and they are direct quantum phenomena.
Now, when people start hearing things like quantum mechanics and things like that, some people go, whoa, that is way over my head. It is a far-reaching concept. Let's start by talking about quantum mechanics and individual consciousness. You talk a lot about consciousness and the difference between how one person experiences something and another person may experience the same thing.
Yeah. Certainly the book does talk about the intersection of quantum mechanics and individual consciousness. Quantum mechanics does have principles like superposition and entanglement, and I can kind of break those down a little bit easier to understand. Say, for example, and this is, we go back to Einstein's theory of relativity, E equals mc squared, energy can't be destroyed or created. So you have these things called atoms, which are the smallest things that we can measure right now, atoms, electrons, things like that. We have this thing called the double slit experiment that allows you to see that atoms can act as a wave and as a particle, which means they can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And by measuring them, we actually give them position. We cause them to quantumly collapse into one superposition. So it is complicated, but if you were to break it down, it's like I extend these principles to proposing that our thoughts and perceptions might similarly be interconnected and capable of hovering in these multiple states, like asking your partner where they want to go for lunch. It's you don't know what they're going to say. They might not even know what they're going to say.
Most likely they don't.
Yeah, right? Even in those situations, something as simple as that challenges the traditional notions that we live in a fixed reality and suggests that our consciousness plays an active role in shaping our experiences.
Well, I know one section of the book, and I told you before we started, I wasn't able to read the whole book time-wise.
Right.
I did pick out some sections, and one of the things that interested me was perception of time in different realities.
Right.
And I've heard of that before. We've talked about it. Matter of fact, a couple of guys here at the station and I talked about it. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm really glad you found that section fascinating. The perception of time is a captivating topic. I don't know if I would call it different realities so much as a different state of consciousness. The book discusses how time, as we perceive it, might not be as linear and uniform as we typically think. Drawing on quantum theory, the concept of superposition again, and individual consciousness experience, timelines or realities simultaneously and at different rates, we experience that. So what I experience as time varies from what you experience as time or any of the listeners would experience as time. A good example of that is asking a group of 20 strangers to close their eyes and count to 20 and then raise their hand. You're going to get varied things in there, people raising their hand at different times. Some of them might raise their hand at the same time, but at that point, you're still noticing that we still experience time at different rates. We can have dreams that feel like they're days long and only be asleep for a few hours, or vice versa. It's just understanding the fluid and dynamic nature of time. It suggests that our perception of past, present, and future might be far more beautiful than we originally imagined it to be.
And time is fascinating, and people have been delving into time and what it is for centuries.
Yeah, since the sun rose.
Yeah, centuries, and even experimenting with time travel and things like that. So a lot of different things going on there. It's kind of a neat little deal that I find fascinating. One of my station people that I work with and I had a nice discussion about that section. We'll talk more about that later with him. We're talking today with local author Cody Kiser. He's written a book called Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality. Sounds a little in-depth, and it is. And we're trying to get a little bit of an explanation about all of his concepts in his book today. In general, the theory, QOIR theory, can you just kind of go over it? And this may take a few minutes, and I understand that, but go ahead.
I'll try to break it down as easy and quick as I can. I try to make it super understandable in the book as well for people to read it, people that aren't like super versed in quantum theory or in physics in general. I give basic examples, like real life examples where they can see and vary on those things. But in general, QOIR theory, or quantum observational individual reality theory, posits that our individual realities are deeply influenced by quantum phenomenon. This suggests that particles can exist in multiple states and be interconnected, or consciousness can similarly shape and be shaped by our observations. Each person's reality is seen through a unique lens woven through their perceptions and experiences. This and these interactions with the world help these theories bridge quantum mechanics and neuroscience and philosophy, offering a new perspective on the nature of reality and consciousness.
A lot of different areas of life or science that fall right into that. It's a brief explanation. I appreciate that a lot. Something that hits a nail on the head right now, and you mentioned something about studying AI, artificial intelligence. There's a book in the section devoted entirely to how artificial intelligence kind of folds into the theory.
Yeah, chapter 5 in the book, absolutely. It explains, or I get into, actually, how AI interacts with my theory. Artificial intelligence, with its advanced data processing and pattern recognition capabilities, and how it provides a unique lens through which we can examine and perhaps even simulate aspects of human consciousness and perception. By integrating AI, we explore how quantum principles might be applied to develop more sophisticated models of consciousness and medicine, enhancing our understanding of both AI and the human mind. Chapter 5 in that section highlights the potential for AI to offer new insights into the nature of reality and consciousness, as well as diving into the ethics of artificial intelligence development and the responsibilities of those building new AI models.
Now, we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I'm going to ask you anyway. We're going to go kind of off script here. What's your opinion on artificial intelligence and where it's going to go in the world and some of the dangers that it poses, actually?
The dangers are imposed by people. People are going to misuse anything. You can give somebody a hammer, and they're not going to use it as a hammer. AI is a tool, and a lot of times we're afraid of new tools when they come out. Surgery, medical science, all those things, when they first come out, we're always skeptical. AI is one of those things that is going to bridge gaps that we didn't even know existed in the long run. Education, for example. We have YouTube and things like that now that have already educated a whole group of youth, younger than myself, my children, anyway, where if they need to find an answer for something, they can just YouTube it and they can see where other people have found this answer. With AI, they're going to have something like a personal assistant where they can be like, hey, how do I do this? And it's going to be able to give them that exact answer and help them cope, and even with emotional problems, be able to cope and things like that.
We'll get into that too. We're growing up with that. Some of our children are growing up. Even if you have Alexa in your house,
Right.
You have a form of artificial intelligence there. And
we've all experienced the phenomenon where we talk about something and then YouTube will show us ads for it. So, yeah.
It's out there.
It's out there.
And it's being used and misused just like anything would be. I know just in the news today, there was the government is suing a company for having a monopoly over AI because they're all using the same program to.
Yes. So AIs are basically just giant buckets of information that we've given a slight amount of intelligence to that can answer questions based off the information we give them. So they're large language models, or limited language models for some of them, that are just going to know what we've given them. Now, if a person gives them access to stuff, say, for example, you give an AI access to the internet, which a lot of them have now, they have a plethora of things that they can look at. They can look all over the internet for, like, banking information. They can take out loans on people's information if they can get it. So those are things that we need to watch out for and we need to be ready for when they come along. But
well, again, we're talking with local author Cody Kiser, wrote a book, Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality. And one of the things in the book that fascinated me was how this theory related to medicine, health in general. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, quantum biology and biomedicine is kind of a groundbreaking new area. In the book, I discuss how understanding consciousness and reality through quantum principles can revolutionize our approach to health and medicine. For instance, recognizing the role of individual perception in shaping reality can develop more personalized medical treatments for people in end-of-life care and end-of-stage care. Quantum mechanics can also provide insights into the functioning of the brain and nervous system, leading to new therapies for neurological conditions. This integration of quantum mechanics and biomedicine holds a promise for a more holistic and effective healthcare solution moving forward.
And there's a lot of information in that section that was very interesting. And folks, I would encourage you to find this book and read it. And we're going to talk here in a little while where you can get the book and how you can have a copy. I've got a copy right here in front of me. I'll probably get into reading it a little bit more, but with my schedule, I read 15, 20 pages a day. Right. I'm in good shape.
Right.
But we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. Biomedicine, health in general, there's so many other topics in there. What else is in there that you think is really important that you want people to know and maybe be able to read about? One
of the most exciting aspects of my book is it encourages readers to question and explore their own minds. QOIR theory is not just a scientific theory. It's an invitation to embark on a personal journey of discovery. It does challenge readers to think about their consciousness and those of others in new ways and consider the profound implications of quantum mechanics on themselves and their afterlives. The book blends rigorous scientific discussion with philosophy, making it accessible to both scholars and anyone who's even curious about the mysteries of existence.
Now, another question that I had, and I marked this place in my book this morning when I was going through it. At the end of the book, in chapter 11, there's some hypotheses that come up, and one of them that really struck me was the creation of an afterlife in the moment of death.
Yes.
And then another, I'll let you expand on that too, was continuation of consciousness beyond the physical form. I just find that really interesting.
So we've kind of had an idea of this throughout life. Like a lot of religions posit a soul, things along those lines. A soul, to me, is just consciousness. It's just moving and being and who you are in general, like your morals, your own compass, things like that. Again, those are all guided by your own life experiences through the beautiful kaleidoscope of you, if you will. I think that the way I worded in the book and the hypothesis is because the way we view time is linear right now, but we don't view that the same way in our mind. It's the same way like our dreams and everything like that is on a different time function that we perceive differently. In that moment of death, we have this beautiful chemical in our brain called DMT that is released at an abundance. It's also released every time you dream, and when you're born and when you pass away, it's released in an overflow. That chemical, I believe, is personally what is one of the main chemicals that facilitate our connection to our bodies, the energy wave that connects us to our bodies. In quantum mechanics, it would be considered superposition. We're both here and there at the same time. The idea of death in an instant is so your whole, like when people say when they are having near-death experiences, their life flashes before their eyes, or they see loved ones and things like that call to them. Those, I believe, are all accurate because we have such a common connection with that, and we have so many people that have had the same kind of experience over and over again that it's hard for us, even as a scientific community, to put that aside. We've been trying to decide for years how that we can get science and the spiritual community to be on the same page, and I think my book bridges that gap quite effectively. It says that even if in death we were to experience that eternity in that final moment, that DMT dump, that ADP chemical in our body that dumps into us, that connects all the signals and everything together, that allows us to experience time unlinearly, it gives us a sense of peace and the idea that there is an eternity after this world. Whether or not we experience it as something different than what we're experiencing right now is person to person. It depends on what their viewpoint of death might be to them. For example, if you're very Catholic, you're going to have a very Catholic afterlife because you've focused your life on experiencing that. You focused your life on that's where you're going to go. I can't say the same for me. I don't necessarily hold the same religious beliefs that a lot of people do, but I can say that I do believe in an afterlife. I do believe that there is something bigger out there, and I think that we are part of the bigger thing, and not that a bigger thing holds us. I think that we are part of the larger energy that is what it means to be alive.
Bridging the gap between the religious realm and the scientific realm.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. I like that explanation. Thank you. Well, let's talk about how to get your book.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us how it's available. What do people need to do to get out there?
Other than seeing me in real life and being like, hey, Cody, I'd like a copy of your book.
Find him on Facebook, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on Facebook. We do have a group on Facebook called Introduction to Quantum Observational Reality, or QOIR Theory on Facebook as well. But you can get a copy of our book by going to Amazon. The theory, you can just search QOIR. It's the first thing that pops up on Amazon. Or you can search Quantum Observational Individual Reality on Google, and it's the first thing that pops, or the second thing that pops up right now. So the book is available on Amazon, both in digital and paperback. However, it's going to be more convenient for the readers. And I just hope that it inspires everybody to explore the fascinating intersection between quantum mechanics and consciousness.
Anything else that we forgot about that you've been sitting here thinking, you know what, I should have said that?
This is a culmination of 18 years of college. I have put a lot of education and time into this. I was a single father with 5 kids, which I used to my advantage to get scholarships to go to these colleges. Yeah. It was a pursuit to find out what we are. really, in the long run, and to help the scientific community be able to have that common ground with the spiritual community that isn't there right now. This right here doesn't explain away religion. It just explains what it means to people. And because we are able to know that, and we know that people think differently, we'll be able to help people more as individual people when it comes to end of life care. Yeah.
Anybody want to give some props to that helped you along the way with the book? I know there's always a lot. So
oh my gosh,
you don't have to name them if you don't want to. That's a lot of people.
Well,
so.
Obviously Carl Sagan, Albert Einstein, those guys,
all the big guys.
Those are the giants whose shoulders I stood on to make this book. Other than that, just my great grandparents for raising me as the kind-hearted person that I am, and my loving family and my children for encouraging me to keep going.
Well, we've been talking today to Cody Kiser. He's written a book. He's from Ottawa High School grad, written a book called Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Reality, or the QOIR Theory. Cody, I appreciate you coming in, explaining a little bit about it with us today. Hopefully this will drum up some business for you, so to speak.
The book is sold worldwide already. I've sold copies in 5 different countries, and so I'm just happy with what it's doing right now, and I would be extremely happy if people in Ottawa were to read it.
Well, thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to KOFO's Community Perspective. Today, local author Cody Kiser talked about his new book, Introduction to Quantum Observational Individual Theory, known as QOIR Theory. The book touches on a multitude of topics dealing with how time, quantum theory, and reality all come together to play a huge part in our lives. The book brings together concepts from the scientific realm and the spiritual realm to form some interesting theories. The book is available on Amazon. Just search QOIR Theory. That's spelled QOIR. Community Perspective is a weekly program aired every Sunday morning right after the 8 o'clock news. If you have a topic you'd like to hear more about or someone you'd like to know more about, let us know. Email kofo@kofo.com or give us a call, 785-242-1220. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Jeff Brewer, KOFO News.